What is up, people? Van from the Vaniverse Gaming Channel here with another video on Conan Exiles. In today's video, I want to cover the new Fragments of Power that came with the Unnamed City patch. If you guys haven't checked it out already, you can click on the circle in the top right-hand corner, and that will show you the video I did as a preview of the patch. So what they did is they revamped the Unnamed City, and they added in some bosses and some mini bosses to make it worth coming to this city. And then on top of that, they added in a currency called Fragments of Power. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to show you guys where you get the Fragments of Power, what they're used for, and then give you my opinions about the Fragments of Power at the end here. So we're going to do it a little bit backwards. I'm actually going to show you how you use the Fragments of Power, what you turn them in for, and then at the end of the video I'm going to show you how you can actually obtain them. So let's get started here. So we are in the we're in the archives, and this is the gentleman that you used to run in here for to teach you how to learn the map room, which is this giant thing right here. So pretty much everyone would come in, they'd kill a dragon, they'd do their stuff they needed to do to unlock the journey, and they might have even done the story quest. And then come here, get your map room, and you never came to the Unnamed City really again because there was no point to. So by adding in these Fragments of Power, there's a reason to come here. So on the back wall here, you will notice that there is a wall full of scrolls. So what you can do now is you see if you press E to interact, what this does is it takes these Fragments of Power and it actually lets you learn different recipes. So there are 19 different recipes. Each recipe unlocks certain new feats, and they look like this. So for instance, you can unlock the battle spatula. You can unlock a dead leg. These are all weapons. And, you know, listening to it, I think they're pretty silly, like a gravedigger shovel, a reinforced stool, a practice sword. I think they should have done something a little bit better, but that's what they chose. You can get some statues, you can make some signs, some eggs, you know, King Scourge statue, a kiln, which is actually pretty cool. It's an improved furnace, which is, it cooks faster than the improved furnace that is currently in the game. So if you unlock this one, it's a better version. And then, you know, you can get a throne here, but for the most part, there's a couple weapons, some legendary weapons, etc. And so each one of those, you have to learn the recipe. So what happens is if you have a Fragment of Power and you come up here and you hit E, it's going to give you a random scroll and put it in your inventory. So I just got a practice sword scroll. So when I right click it, I learn the recipe. Now, there's 19 recipes. They're all random. So you might click this 40 times and not get what you want. So I kind of like the whole random recipe idea because then it gives you reasons to trade with other players and try and get all 19. And then maybe even gives you reasons to, you know, sell it to somebody for something else. Hey, I have this venom recipe, infused venom sword. I already have one. I'll sell you the recipe since you don't have the ability to get it, but you're still going to need the Fragment of Power to make it. So that's what you do is you unlock it with the recipes. Now, the other thing you use Fragments of Power for is to make the items. So you have to create the items. You need at least one Fragment of Power to do so for a lot of these recipes. So if you come in here, you'll see that almost all of these recipes require a blacksmith bench or an artisan workbench to create. And then once you create them, a lot of them require this skull. And this skull is actually something that you have to unlock this skull in order to do the rest. So it's kind of an interesting little setup here. But yeah, so you need the Fragments of Power to unlock the 19 different recipes, and then you also need them to create the items that you unlocked. The third thing that you can use the Fragment of Power for is probably the best thing about it, is feats in this game. I have 597 plus 20, so 617. And you're like, wait a second, I thought you can only get 497. So that's what you're supposed to be able to get normally. And with 497 feat points at level 60, you can never unlock everything. So you're constantly resetting your feats with either the bestial knowledge, which is either you can do attributes or feats, or the yellow lotus potion, which does attributes and feats. So what they decided to do is if you're a level 60 character then you can actually right-click on these Fragments of Power, and they will actually give you 10 feat points. So you can see right now I'm at 597 with 20 spent. If I go into my inventory and I right-click this, it's going to say you gained feat points. If I come to the feats, I'm now at 607. So it is cumulative. So you can just keep on clicking these Fragments of Power and keep on gaining 10 feat points. And those feat points stay. So if you reset all your points, you're still going to have 607. So very cool aspect to this new item. I think it's nice because eventually if you work hard enough and you play the game enough, it gives you a reason to come in here and kill these bosses so that you can get enough Fragments of Power in order to get all your feats maxed out so you never have to respec again, which is pretty cool. That's the main reason for me that I love them. So that's how that whole thing works. So now let's talk about how do you acquire a Fragment of Power. So Fragment of Power, you can get them from three different ways technically. So the first way is, say you kill somebody and they happen to be carrying one of these weapons that are made with a Fragment of Power. You can then take it, and at level 37, I believe it is, you can unlock this dismantling bench. This also came in with the Unnamed City update. So what this dismantling bench does is you put items in it, and it returns stuff back to you. So if you put any of these items that a Fragment of Power was used to craft into the dismantling bench, it's going to give you a Fragment of Power back. So if you kill somebody and you take their item and they have one of these and you put them in your bench, your dismantling bench, you can get Fragment of Power that way. The second way to get a Fragment of Power is to just pick it up randomly throughout the Unnamed City. So throughout the Unnamed City, there are these little wood chest looking things. They're smaller than the iron chest. I think they're even smaller than the wooden chest, but they're like a dark wooden brown. It's hard to explain. I've tried to find one to show you guys in a video, but they are throughout the Unnamed City, and if you pick it up off the ground, you get a Fragment of Power. So pretty cool that you can just randomly find them running through the Unnamed City, and you don't have to kill the bosses, and that is the third way. So there are 8 new bosses. I say new, but a lot of them are just repurposed bosses. There are 8 bosses in the game, 7 of which drop a Fragment of Power. 1 doesn't, but I don't even want to get into that. So you have to kill the bosses to get the Fragments of Power. Now, killing the bosses, this is meant to be for endgame group play, so they're harder. I mean, they have more hit points, they do damage, but you can solo them. And so that's what I want to do at the end of this video here, is show you the 2 bosses that I fight, show you the strategy I use to solo them, and when you can solo them. So you can see that in this whole video, I've been running around in level 40 veneer heavy armor, and I'm always very hot. The reason why I'm wearing this is at level 40, you can do these 2 bosses I'm going to show you. All you have to be is level 40. The veneer is the best armor. That's why level 40. If you're 50, 60 plus, this is going to be even easier to do this. And then right now I have an ancient 2-handed sword. When I say 40, you actually have to be level 43 because that's when you can unlock the daggers. And then I have a steel heater on. I have just a regular weapon mod on these things, not an advanced, just a regular weapon damage. And then I have armor reduction on my armor. My attributes are currently set to if I was level 40 instead of level 60. The reason why I'm level 60 is I had to show you the whole feat thing, and you have to be level 60 to use the Fragments of Power to unlock your feats. So I'm spec'd 20 in strength, 20 vitality, 20 grit. Being 20 in vitality gives me this impervious that diminishes the temperature effect, which allows me to stay in the Unnamed City in a cold set of gear. And I'm constantly very hot, but I can always hit 8, which is my water skin, and it will cool me down. But as long as you stay at very hot, you should be fine. It's when you get into extremely hot and heat stroke that you start taking damage. So of all the bosses, there are 2 that I recommend fighting. There's a beast skeleton boss, and there's a bat boss. The beast skeleton boss, you cannot bleed, you cannot use poison, you have to just do straight up damage to him. So in my opinion, he takes a little bit longer to kill. But I feel like he's easier. The other thing is he is in a non-corrupted area of the Unnamed City, so you don't have to worry about corruption. The Bat Boss is in a corrupted area, so you have to worry about corruption, but you can use daggers to fight him and bleed him and deal with that. However, because he is in a corruption area, you're going to have to obtain these things called Heart of a Hero, okay? And what a Heart of a Hero does is you eat it, and when you eat it, it removes corruption. So you could have half of your bar is all corruption. If you ate a Heart of the Hero, it would completely remove all corruption. To obtain Hearts of the Hero, those were also added in the new update, is you have to kill mini-bosses. Mini-bosses are little human NPCs that are not nearly as hard as the bosses that drop the Heart of the Hero. So what I'm going to show you in this last part of the video is what bosses I kill, my strategy to kill them. I'm not going to spend the time because it takes a while. If you're level 40 in solo, you can do it. It just takes a pretty long time. And then I'll show you like the mini boss, how to get the heart, and then the Bat Boss at the end. So I'm in admin mode to kind of help with getting around here. So I'm just going to teleport over to this fella here. Hopefully my guide mode and stuff are still on so I don't like break my leg. And let's just see. Okay. Yep. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put it into daylight. I have no other specials on here. And we are going to show you this boss right here. So here he is. He is a beast skeleton boss. He just does basic attacks. It's not a big deal. His biggest attack you have to worry about is he does a lunge attack at you if you're too far away, and when he does that, he will bleed you. Otherwise, the strategy is very simple. You kill him with your two-hander, you switch to block when you're low on health, and while blocking, you eat the roasted food, which I have currently, and the water skin. Now, you can do this with a friend. It'll be a lot easier. You can bring a thrall along. That will also be helpful. You can have better food, better weapons, etc. I just want to show you that at level 40 in the veneer armor with the attributes that I have here, he is absolutely soloable. So let's go at it here. So that attack that he did just there, that's the one that you can't let him hit you with because he's going to bleed you. So you can see the damage he's doing to me is not too terrible. So I'm going to keep on just fighting him. And when I feel like my health is getting low or I'm running out of stamina, that's when we switch, we go to the shield. So now we have the shield on, we hit our food, and we just basically sit here and block. Okay? We wait for our health to go back up, but you notice that by blocking, my stamina does not replenish, which is meant that way, okay? So once you're ready, you get back into your ready mode, make sure he doesn't attack you with his crazy attack, and then you come back, and then you start in again. So you can rinse and repeat this for quite some time. Granted, like I said, I'm only using level 43 weapons here, and this is meant to be for guys who are in their 60s, and also it's meant to be for parties. But I'm easily taking him down. There's not a huge problem. Okay, you do not want to run out of stamina like I did just there, because now you can't block. So you want to always stop right before you run out. Now you can block again. Hit your health bar. Okay. Let your health go back up. That's the attack you cannot take damage from because you'll bleed. And then when you feel comfortable again, you just start again. So this is really the strategy I use to fight this boss, along with other bosses. But because you can't bleed undead anymore, it makes it a little bit harder. So like I said, we're not going to continue this. I'm just trying to show you the strategy. Switch to your shield, block, heal. Alright. Very, very simple. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into God mode here just to get out of the cloak. We are going to get our health back. So health max. We are definitely going to change it back to noon time so we can see. And so you can see that my shield barely took any damage. We have him at about what? About that much. So we took about a quarter of his health in that amount of time. So as long as you stick at it, you can kill him. So you can see how trying to solo these things and getting fragments of power, it could take quite some time. So this is definitely meant to have a group and do it together. So now I'm going to show you the bat boss, but before I do, I want to show you the mini boss that I kill before we fight the bat boss. So right here, we're going to port right into the front here. Okay, so there's a stairway here, and when you come down to the right of the stairway, you're going to see a group of guys over here. Now this is the fight that I do the best for the mini boss because there's not nearly as many NPCs with him. There's those two down there with him, and then there's this guy over here. You can usually fight the one without aggroing the other two, but basically these are the guys that you want to kill for the hearts of the hero. There are several of them, but I just want to show you there's different ones that spawn here every time. They're tier 4 fighters that you can knock out if you want, and you can take them as a thrall. So they're tier 4, they hit really hard. You can see they only have 1 skull, where the other guy I fought had 3 skulls. And so 1 skull just means they're a mini boss. 3 skulls means they're a boss. So you can see that they take way more damage than the bosses do, but they're also nothing to sneeze at. I mean, I'm crunching her pretty good, and the other ones aren't even fighting, and I'm not taking damage from her either. So once she's dead, you will see she has this heart of a hero. So we're going to put that on our bar. So now we're going to show you the bat boss. So here he is. He looks just like the albino boss from the Tower of Bats. You can see that I am gaining corruption here, which is why I picked up that heart. So we are going to take off our cloak, and we are going to fight him. Now, he is bleedable, so we can use our daggers for this guy. So we're going to do the same thing. We want to get 20 stacks of bleed on him. You can see the damage is not too bad. Alright, once we get 20 stacks, we're going to shield. Okay, and we're going to heal. You want to stay close to him so he doesn't do his Sunder attack. Okay? Because if you get too far away, he's going to Sunder. Okay? So now, whoops. So now we can get out our two-hander, or we can bleed him again. It's up to you. And you can keep attacking him like you did before. So he's very similar in the damage he does. Okay, and then you put that on, and you block. Okay. Now you can see I'm gaining corruption throughout this entire fight. That's what makes him a little bit more of a problem than the other guy. But at the same time, it's not too bad. Because with this guy, you can bleed him, and the bleed can be doing the damage while you're blocking and taking health, so you're constantly doing damage to him, which is kind of different than the other guy. So, okay. Alright, we want to stay close. And go like this. Now, I would suggest having maybe 2 hearts of the hero when you fight this guy. Just because you're going to gain a lot of corruption depending on how long you're sitting here. So, once your corruption's getting kind of out of control, you think, you hit 6, you eat your heart of the hero, and now your corruption's completely gone. We heal back up, and you can see he's taking more damage because of the bleed than the other guy was. You can wait for the bleed to come off, or you can attack with your two-hander. It's completely up to you. So now his bleed's off, so we're going to start back again. And just get the 20 stacks of bleed. And shield. And eat. And stay close so he doesn't sunder us. There we go. Because the sunder pushes you back and breaks your shield, and I think it does damage to where you can heal. Okay? And then now you can keep, since he still has 20 stacks of bleed, you can go with two-hander. And like this. And now the bleed's off, so we're switching. And we get 20 stacks, and then we'll do our heal again. Heal. 7. And there we go. So that's basically how you would do this fight. Rinse and repeat. You can see he's almost half dead. I'm only using level 40 gear, and I'm using level 40 weapons, and this is just the same strategy that I use over and over again. You can call it cheese, you can call it what you want, but this is how you can solo this without too much problem. So that's pretty much how this works. I should finish this guy off so that you can actually see what he drops. So you can see this is where you get Fragments of Power. So that's what I'm going to do, just to show you that, and we'll speed it up here in a second. Okay, so now that he's dead, you can see that you can loot him, and right there is the Fragment of Power. They usually always drop legendary weapon repair kits, and then there's usually some other stuff as well. And then we have the loot that's behind him. So that's pretty much how the Fragments of Power work. Just to kind of recap, they are used by clicking on them at level 60. You have to be level 60 in order to get more feats. You can use them to unlock different recipes in the Unnamed City Archives library, and then also make those items as well. And they drop from the bosses as well as found throughout the game, throughout Unnamed City, I mean, and then also from deconstructing some of these items that are made on your dismantling bench. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and make sure to sub for all my other videos. And then at the end of the video, stay tuned and check out the links to my new player's guide and some of the other videos we have on the Vaniverse Gaming channel. So hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks again. This is Van from Vaniverse Gaming. Cheers and peace out.